Hello, welcome to this second video on the Informal Music Pedagogy series. In this one, we'll be discussing some of the core principles around informal learning in music. These principles also come from the research by Dr. Lucy Green on how popular musicians learn. The first principle is, the one who's going to be playing the music is the one that selects the music. This really gets into that intrinsic motivation aspect. It changes a little bit the traditional paradigm in terms of maybe the instructor is choosing the music based on a specific purpose, maybe to develop some technical deficiency or to expand the stylistic repertoire of the performer. In this case, when learning outside of formal institutions or a formal program, usually is the desire to play something that the musician already knows or that the learner is already listening to that drives the willingness to play it, to learn it. Because the learner has already been listening to the music, then is where that second principle of playing by ear comes into play. Playing by ear doesn't necessarily mean that the learner is not using other resources, but rather that it is on the listening skills that we're matching the sound that we make with the sound that we know already from the music that we chose or from the recording that we're trying to emulate. When learning in groups, usually this happens with friends, with like-minded peers that have similar taste in music and where we can share that music style as well. Usually when learning outside of a school setting or a formal institution setting, we're not being told by an adult or by like an older adult what music to play. Rather, we are choosing the music, and maybe with some friends we're negotiating what music they like, the song that we like, and then we're trying to match our expectations so that then we can play that piece together. In a context like that, it's common for friends to get together and form like a little music group, maybe a rock band, a pop band, and start trying to get the sound as close as possible as the music that we're listening to, the music that we want to play. And that leads to the fourth principle, that because we're learning in this way without really a clear structure, the learning occurs in different ways. For example, when I was 17 years old, I remember being in a group with two friends and playing. One was just starting the drum set and another friend, she was just starting the bass. And I was already writing my own song, so we were playing together. And for example, the drummer never took a drum lesson. So we would make up stuff as we went. I would bring some of the music and we would go, maybe add this here, add this there. So while we were trying to make this piece of music sound good, the drummer would be trying to figure out, how to play a beat. And he was learning while we were already making some music and trying to make music sound good. While if he would have been taking lessons, for example, maybe he would have started with a completely different structure. Maybe he would have gone through some drum rudiments first, then learned some basic patterns. It would have been good if he had done that, but that wasn't the case, and that wasn't going to stop us from making music since we were already there. We already had a drum set and we already had some music. So you see how this can happen in ways that are not traditionally sort of in a clear progression, but rather all over the place. And this is in part what leads to that last principle, where all these listening skills are integrated. Like I mentioned in that previous example, we were improvising stuff while we were trying new beats, while we were trying new music, what new patterns, some cymbals here, some cymbals there. We were learning by improvising. We were trying stuff, we were playing around with the music. And that led us to compose and to define, all right, this is how it will go for this part, this is how it will go for the other part. And we're listening to each other all the time. So it's integrated there while we're performing as well. So you see how these skills become integrated in this type of informal learning process. When I was 13, we got together with a group of friends. we made this sort of rock band, and we started playing songs that we liked. Some songs that I liked that I wanted to play, some of the other members of the group didn't like. So we would find a place where we were playing some of the music that we all were okay with. Then by when I was 15, I was already writing some of my own songs. And so we started, with another group of friends trying to make the arrangements and so that we could play those songs. And like that, you see how it goes from trying to recreate the songs that we were interested in to eventually creating our own music and trying to develop our own musicianship through our music making practice. So how do we bring those informal learning practices to a formal institution? As music educators, we might be involved in a school setting or in another academic setting. So how can we emulate or create conditions that might allow that rewarding experience that comes from this intrinsic willingness to make music, this drive to recreate music that we're already interested in? Well, when applying this pedagogy, one of the main things is to step back and observe. This can be a little bit difficult sometimes for teachers because there's an urge to intervene, to help the learners when they're making mistakes. And this pedagogy requires a lot of patience and letting students explore their environment, their instruments, the music they're playing, how they would approach this music if it's not with a rigid step-by-step structure. And what happens is that students end up creating their goals for themselves. And they might want to just play a part of a piece, or they might want to just learn a specific instrument or specific section. And as a music educators, then we can assess their goals, and through their goals, the ones that they set up for themselves, we can start to understand what they need to get to those goals. Maybe they need a specific type of equipment. Maybe they need to learn some chords to get there. Maybe they need to learn a few bass notes. That would vary depending on the context, depending on the group. Even in a group of 20 students, you might have 5 different groups, and each group might have different needs. Once the educator has a clear idea of what the music learners' goals are, what they set up for themselves, then is when the music educator can offer suggestions and start helping, maybe by modeling, by doing some demonstrations, because now it's clearer, because they have expressed so what are their needs, what are their goals, so then we can help them achieve those goals on their own. So as a final reflection, what do you think about this idea of the music educator stepping back and observing without intervening until the music learner has set their own goals in their musical exploration? Remember, you can leave your response on the comment section below.